Hi, it's Alaska Granny. As preppers, we know we want to have food on hand. We want to have a nice stockpile so that we have the things that we need and we can feed our families no matter what the day brings. There are certain foods that are becoming in shorter supply and much more expensive to buy. Food shortages have been a problem all throughout the world, and some of that is coming to where we live now too. We haven't suffered like so many other places, but we're beginning to, because not only are the prices going up, but food is just in shorter supply, and there are a lot of reasons for that. Fuel prices are skyrocketing, not just for us as consumers, but for farmers, for truckers, all of the ways that we have to have our food planted, harvested, processed, and trucked to the supermarket so that we can buy it and bring it home. So fuel costs directly affect the price of your food. We also know that there have been heat waves and droughts, and crops are just not being produced to the same magnitude that they were in the past. Plus, we know that there is a huge turmoil going on in Ukraine and Russia, and much of the world's grain harvest comes from that area. Things like sunflower oil also come from that region of the world where there is turmoil. We know that there are fertilizer shortages. It's hard to explain how that is. It seems to be so complicated. I can't explain it. I just know that it's true. Even as home gardeners, seeds have been harder to find. They're more expensive. And when I go to the store here to buy the big bags of potting soil for my garden and my greenhouse, it's been about $15 a bag is the least expensive that I've been able to find it. And other stores, it's up to $25 a bag. So I don't know if that's something that you're experiencing where you are as well. But even gardening is becoming very expensive. Then when we go to the store, we might notice that the price tags are missing off of the shelf. The food might be there, but we don't know how much it is. The prices are going up so dramatically that some stores are just not even posting them anymore, and you get to have a surprise when you go to check out. So it's even more important that you pay attention when you are checking out, because if some of the items are just too expensive, you'll want to be aware of that before you spend your hard-earned money on foods that maybe have become unaffordable. But there are things we can do. We can plan our meals. We can also plan our trips so that we use less gas by making one big trip to several stores rather than going all the way into town over and over again. Try to group your trips together so that you go in a circle around and then make your way back home, that you stop and do all of your errands at once. So what are the foods that we should worry about buying now because they may become either too expensive or no longer available? The first food that I want to make sure I have are eggs. Eggs are becoming hard to get, very expensive, and sometimes I go to the store and I think, wow, maybe this is the last time I'll be able to even buy some eggs, and so that makes me want to buy them more. But don't overbuy things that you're not going to use. Something like eggs are not going to last forever, and so you don't want to buy more than you can use. Other solutions to that are, if you're going to use them for baking, you can look at some of the baking substitutes. I have stocked up on powdered eggs, and I've also bought some of the Bob's Red Mill egg replacer that you can use in baking. There are other solutions to having eggs on hand. I made a video about some of the ways that you can have eggs or egg substitutes, and I'll put a link to that video in case you're interested in learning more about that. One of the reasons eggs are in short supply is because of the avian flu, which also has an effect on the amount of chicken that's available. I went to the store recently to buy a full-bodied chicken so that I could make a lemon chicken, and they only had 3 whole chickens in the store. One of them was $38, which is ridiculous. So I don't know what made that chicken so special, but it didn't come home with me. So luckily I was able to find one that was less expensive. I did notice that they still have those rotisserie chickens in the store, but some of them are so tiny you almost think you're getting a little quail or a Cornish game hen. They just look so small, but they still have them. They just don't seem like they're going to feed as many people or as many meals as maybe you used to. One of the solutions is to buy canned chicken. If you can find fresh chicken, maybe you can put some in your freezer. I like to stock up on canned chicken because then it doesn't matter if the power goes out, it doesn't matter if my freezer breaks. I still have chicken that'll last in my pantry for several years. Canned meat lasts a long time. Most of it will last far longer than the date on it, which is the best by use by sell by date, not that it's expired and no longer good to eat, but it can mean that. Other meats are also becoming harder to get and in shorter supply, and for the same reason as regular grains are. Farm animals tend to eat things like grain and hay, and if the crops are not being produced, then there's no rain. They can't afford to have these crops or these animals. And so not only were things cut back during the pandemic, when a lot of the animals were just slaughtered because they couldn't find processing plants that were able to take them, there were supply chain issues with all types of meat, and that's likely to happen again simply because if the farmers culled their herds, they don't have that many to send to the market later. And so we are looking at, there's likely going to be a shortage. So I like to stock up not only on canned chicken, but I look for other types of canned meats as well. You can find beef, ham, you can find pulled pork, and there's all types of fish. There's many, many different kinds of canned meat. I'll put a link to a video I made about all the different kinds of canned meat that you can find, and maybe that'll give you some ideas of meats that you want to look for. I like to go to the store and just look them all over and see what's there. And if you see something you think you might like, just buy one and take it home and try it. You can always go back and get more. Don't load up on food that you don't know how to cook, you don't know if you like, and you don't have any plan to use it. Your pantry is supposed to be a working pantry. You're working through it. You use your food, you rotate and replace it. You don't need to start working your way through your food the day you take it home. You can load up your pantry and then little by little work your way through it. I know during the pandemic that was one of the things that I did, was rotate and use a lot more of my prepper pantry foods than I had been using, simply because I didn't want to go to the store. And when I did go to the store, a lot of the things that I was looking for weren't available. And now they might be available, but the prices have gone up dramatically. So it's also an investment in your future if you're buying some extra food to have in your prepper pantry. Since we know that there are grain shortages, make sure that you have some flour, some cornmeal, all of the pancake mixes, the baking powder, baking soda, the ingredients that you would use to make bread for yourself, for your family, everything from breads to cookies, pancakes, waffles, whatever it is that you normally eat. Buy the amount of food that you know you can use up in a reasonable amount of time. One of the solutions that I found is that I buy the flour from the LDS church. It's already in a number 10 can. It's sealed up to last for years, and I did actually get into some that I had bought long before the pandemic. When we couldn't get flour during the pandemic, I was happy that I could open it up and I had that fresh flour to use. Flour doesn't last forever. It needs to be really sealed up properly for it to last longer, because it tends to go off and it won't smell right, and then your food won't taste right. Look for ways to have the baking supplies that you need, but also make sure that you're storing them as well as possible and that you're rotating them so that you still have fresh food that's good to eat. Cooking oils have gone up dramatically in price, and some of them are not even available. So if there are oils that you like to use, make sure that you're stocking up on those as well. Find the ones that are your favorites. Don't worry about what someone else tells you to have in your stockpile. You want foods that you're going to use. If you want to try something new, sure, go ahead. Find something that lasts longer. But make sure that you try it so that you know if it's something you really want to have in your stockpile. You don't want to spend your prepping grocery dollars on foods that you don't want and have no use for or don't know what to do with. You want to make your dollars work as hard for you as you worked to earn them. So with the price of cooking oils at an all-time high, it's a good idea to get a little bit extra, because that doesn't mean the price is going to freeze where it is or ever go down when we know that there are shortages. So make sure that you have the things that you count on while they're still available and you can still afford them. Realize that food prices have gone up every single month for the last 18 months. Summer is a great time to be learning how to garden, growing some of your own fruits and vegetables, but it's a challenge. So just like the farmers are having challenges, so are home gardeners. It can be difficult. I know my strawberries were finally ready to get out and pick them, and I got up early, went out there, and the birds were just having a great old time. That there were more birds on them than I've ever seen before. So yes, I did have a challenge getting some of those, but it's always still nice to know that I shared with nature because I love having the birds around. I just wish they would leave the berries for me. Realize that when you're looking at the canned fruits and vegetables that are in the store now, this is last year's crop. They haven't harvested any of these for this year, so they have to grow them this year, send them to the canneries, and then bring them to the store. And you know they're going to cost more. Cans are hard to get, the price of gasoline is more, and we don't even know for sure what the harvest is going to be. So stock up on some canned fruits and vegetables so that you have variety. If you have them in your garden, that's wonderful. If you can buy them at a farmer's market, that's fantastic too. Learn how to preserve them the best you can. Try to build up your stockpile so that you have all different kinds of foods. Yes, it's nice to have beans and rice, but that's not all we ever want to eat. And so you want to have variety so that you can continue to use up your food and make your meals taste different with the additions of the other items and the variety that you have in your prepper pantry stockpile. So these are the foods that I'm recommending that you stock up now. If you use these foods, stock up on them while you can. We don't know what's coming, and the news is just crazy. But we know that we want to have the best outcome every single day, and providing those things to our family is what prepping is all about. I always think of it as every extra can of food that I have in my pantry is another meal that my family doesn't have to go without. So that's a gift to future me to still have those foods available. Leave us a comment. What are you seeing for prices? What foods are you finding are in short supply? And what do you think are most critical that we stock up on now while things are still there for us? If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might like it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.